to the Dragon Within Saga's daily reading. We're going to continue on in chapter 3, where Roni and Zendalia's mother has just convinced them that they have to go find them a new home, and they have to go by themselves or the mother stays back. So let's pick up with the action and see what's going to happen. Goodbye. This was the first time she realized this was going to be one of the last moments she would speak to her children. She had been so affected by the angel and its sheer presence that she had fixed its goal upon her will as her own, so much so that everything else, all emotion, all reasoning, and all feeling was centered around seeing it completed. Anything potentially standing in the way was severely minimized and given no audience, for it had no place and stood as a barrier to her children's continued life. But now, because the inception of the angel's words had been successfully placed within both of her children's minds, she felt everything she had held back to mount: her life, her death, the unknown, the reality of God and his angels, her children being left alone to engage upon a greater calling than she had desired for them. All of these built in the pit of her stomach and threatened to return her breakfast to her plate. Forgetting where she was in time for a moment, she called out audibly to her husband. When he was alive, he stood as a pillar of certainty through all the storms brought by the harsh life they lived as hunters and traders. When the winters were cold, he was there to warm her, not only in body as they lie embraced throughout the night, but in spirit as well. With his words of comfort and confidence bleeding into her, he caused her frozen blood to flow, returning hope and life to the dismal days of endless gray. When she was giving birth to her son, he remained calm and secure in his presence. She swore to herself that he was the only reason she made it through that night, and still, to this day, stood in wonder of how he was able to remain such a calming presence during a breached birth. Knowing she was just seconds away from breaking down in front of her children, something she vowed upon the grave of her husband to never do, she excused herself at once by standing and stating, "Well, there is no time to lose. We must make the preparations for finding our new home. Roni, take Zendalia and hunt for food. I will gather as many water skins as we have from the river and pick as many items from my garden as I can. Let us go, you two. The sooner we get done, the sooner we can sit and celebrate." And with the conclusion of her sentence, she stood up, barely holding back her tears, turned around and walked quickly out of the door. Instinctively, she found herself walking toward her garden at a pace matching the fluidity with which her tears began to fall from her now reddening eyes. When she could no longer see clearly, eyes blurry from her tears, and when her legs had all but lost their strength, she gave in to her grief and fell to her knees. She had never been one to pray to God before today. Simply believing there was something behind the existence of the world and stars and moon, she had never proper cause to give this power a personal name, nor to believe it took any interest in the personal lives of those it was responsible for creating. Because of this, she knew not how to pray. But that did not mean she did not know what to pray for. In this moment, with her knees now dirty, her eyes swollen, and her clothing wet in spots from the release of her grief, she knew exactly what she needed to pray for. So she spoke in a tone of mixed anger, desperation, exhaustion, and resignation. "God, or whoever you are, I need you to hear me. I need you to understand. You have taken away from my children too much. Their father and now their mother. How could you do this? How could you do this and tell me? It would have been better to just do it and hold them protected, but instead you have allowed my son, my little Roni, to carry upon his shoulders a burden so great that I have seen him strain under its force over these long and many years. And Zin, my poor little Zin, she has been cursed to have no example of what a father could and should be. You have taken so much from them. And now, after all these hard years, you seek to place an even greater burden upon them. A burden they are not ready for. I have never asked or called out to you before this, but I have no other choice. Please, God, please send them the strength they need to face what they're going to face, and give them peace to find happiness yet in this life. But more than that, please let them know they are loved." When her voice was hoarse from the strain and she could speak no more, she sobbed as if the dams of heaven were released into her soul and poured out through her very heart. In the moment of her tears, she broke and slept. All right, we're going to pause for today and pick up next time. Thank you once again for checking out my reading from Convergence Book 1 of the Dragon Within Saga. It is available online on my new website, which will be in the description below. Thanks again. Have a wonderful day, and I'll catch you next time. But until then, always release your dragon within. Thank you.